everybody, welcome to my homestead and welcome to my channel. In this video we're going to do an update on fires and droughts and some crazy things that are happening right now in New Mexico, India, and just we're going to get into it. Okay, it looks like this is going to be a bad year for fires and droughts. I'm not trying to spread fear. Just live righteously, make good decisions. You're going to be okay. And if you are affected by these things, it's not the end of the world. Okay? We know that this stuff is supposed to happen. It's bad, but it's also a good sign because we know that we're near the time when Christ will come. So, before we get into that, well, just to give you a preview. So, it's only April. This is a CNN article. It's only April, and New Mexico has already seen a year's worth of fire activity. That will worsen starting today. Oh, we'll look at the fire map, the drought map, and then record-breaking heat wave gripping India and Pakistan threatens crops, leaves millions sweltering. Arizona is not looking very good as far as fire conditions there. Then we're going to top it off with a couple quotes from some general authorities. So, as we've noted before, there's kind of a lot of things going on right now when it comes to wheat. Wheat seems to be having a bad year this year because we have Ukraine and Russia, which are among the top producing countries of wheat. I can't remember the exact numbers, but I want to say Russia was like in the number 3 spot, and Ukraine was, I don't know, maybe like 5 or 6 or something like that. I did a video about that. You'll just have to go back and see. And then in this article that we're going to go over, talking about India and Pakistan, it's affecting wheat. So I'm bringing that up just because, you know, is this a special year of some sort? I'm not saying that the second coming is going to happen this year, but could this be just a turning point? Could it be the beginning of the end? Of course, the beginning of the end really happened when Joseph Smith had the first vision. But as far as like the latter part of the last days, is this the beginning of the end this year? I don't know. But let's take a look at the Hebrew calendar really quick. Today is the 29th of April, and on the Hebrew calendar, that is the 28th day of the month of Nisan. This is the month of Passover, right? We've had the Passover meal, the Seder. Not personally, of course, but Jews observe the Seder, which is the Passover meal, the Feast of Unleavened Bread, which is the entire week, and then first fruits, which is something that they don't currently like observe. They learn about it, but since there's no temple to offer first fruits to, that you don't do that anymore. But first fruits does start the 50-day count to Shavuot. It's the Feast of Weeks. It's also known as Pentecost. It's also known as the Feast of the Harvest. And it has everything to do with wheat. If you do a Google search and you just look up Shavuot and you go to images, you're going to see just image after image after image after image. It's all about wheat. I mean, it's not all about wheat, but wheat is like a really big symbol or thing that goes along with Shavuot. So I'm just trying to draw a little bit of a connection. Is there something interesting going on this year as far as wheat goes and this Shavuot? I don't know. But right now we are on the 13th day of the Omer count. The Omer count is simply the count from first fruits to Shavuot or Pentecost. And that's going to be June 5th and 6th. Of this year, June 5th and 6th. We're on day 13. So let's get into it. Again, it's only April, and New Mexico has already seen a year's worth of fire activity that will worsen starting today, and this was 2 days ago. New Mexico has seen wildfires burn more acres so far this year, over 173,000, than in 7 of the last 8 years, according to statistics from the Southwest Coordination Center, which coordinates the mobilization of resources between the 12 federal and state dispatch centers of the Southwest area. The fire weather conditions are expected to worsen in coming days, and the same is true over here for Arizona. Okay, this is the Arizona Emergency Information Network, and down here they say the fire weather conditions are expected to reach record-breaking levels for this time of year. Okay, let's look at the fire map. So here you can see the warning areas. I don't know what all the color coding means, but you can click on it. So Arizona, this yellow area is Fire Weather Watch. In New Mexico, Fire Weather Watch. And then here in Texas, Kansas, Colorado, Oklahoma, Red Flag Warning. Red Flag Warning. So these are the danger areas right now, and you can already see some large blazes that are happening right now. Over by Prescott, we got the Crooks incident. It is 27% contained, 9.1 or just 9,000 acres burned. Here's one right by Flagstaff, the tunnel incident, 19 acres burned, or 19,000 I mean. But you can see that these bigger ones are over here in New Mexico, 64,000 acres, and then 55,000 acres. For comparison, let's pull up top 20 wildfires, California. There's this really handy site here, fire.ca.gov. So if you're looking at California as a comparison, their 20th largest fire of all time was the Marble Cone, 1977. It was 177,000 acres. So 177. So you can maybe get that as like for a comparison. Up here, the biggest one of all time for California was the August Complex Fire, August 2020. It was 1,032,000 acres. Okay, so come back here. So again, this is 55. This one's 64. So they're good sized fires. They're good sized fires. And then over here in Kansas, oh no, it's in Nebraska. That's still bad. But 44,000 acres, Road 702 incident. Okay, so let's go back here to the CNN article. This year's fire season was off to an early start. Around a week and a half, almost 2 weeks earlier than average, said Andrew Church, a meteorologist at the National Weather Service in Albuquerque. And you guys, you'll remember a little while ago, several weeks ago, we covered Texas. Texas broke its own record for the largest wildfire in state history. That was this year. Again, I don't want to spread fear, but it may not be a good year as far as wildfires go. Just be prepared. Now is the time to prepare. Just make sure you have a plan of action. Make sure that you have supplies. I would highly recommend a 72-hour kit. But do not live in fear. Just watch. Just observe. But anyway, this happened earlier this year. This was back in March. This was back in March that they had the largest wildfire of Texas state history. And now we have stuff going on here in New Mexico, Arizona. And right now we're in that period where it's, conditions are supposed to be really bad. Let's see, here's kind of a more simplified map of it. Okay. Let's see. Now let's go over to India. Oh, here's the Drought Monitor. So this is as of the 26th, so that was 3 days ago at the time of this recording. And these areas, let's look at the key. So dark red, like the really dark red, is exceptional drought. So there's exceptional drought right now in Texas, Oklahoma, New Mexico, the whole central part of Oregon, Nevada. It looks like that's pretty much it. And then the medium red or the lighter red is extreme drought in parts of Kansas, Colorado, Nebraska, South Dakota, Montana, Wyoming, Idaho, Utah, Nevada, California, bits of Arizona, Oregon, and Washington. So That's as of just a few days ago. We'll have to see how this progresses through the year, but that's what that's looking like. Okay, now let's look at this on Yahoo News. Record-breaking heat wave gripping India and Pakistan threatens crops, leaves millions sweltering. Okay, following an exceptionally dry month of March, which also set a new temperature record. You see, I always pay attention, and I'm sure that you do too. Whenever there's a record that's broken, you could probably say, well, probably just more signs of the times, and I'm certain that it is. It's just like it's nonstop. It is nonstop. I started this channel back in August of last year, and there have been so many records broken, from tornadoes to volcanoes. And I'm talking about the loudest volcano since like the 1800s, with the Tonga volcano. Even lightning, there's a thing called a mega flash. The largest mega flash of all time was recorded within the last 12 months. Uh, just thing after thing after thing after thing. Just since August. Just since August. So okay, cities and towns across India's wheat growing region. Okay, there's the wheat. Have been reporting temperatures over 100 degrees Fahrenheit this week. When April arrived, so did the heat wave, putting the wheat harvest at risk. So not only is wheat taking a hit in Russia and Ukraine, but also India and Pakistan. In fact, let's see. I should pull that up. Top wheat producing countries. Let's go to this one. I'd really like it in order, though. So we got China, oh gosh, and then India is number 2. China's first, India number 2, Russia third, United States 4, Canada 5, France is number 6, and then Pakistan is number 7. So we have the number 2, 3, 7, and 8 spots having problems this year with wheat. That is, that's kind of... I'm going to have to say, from my point of view, it's a sign of the times. I think it's a sign of the times. How could that happen all in one year? Okay. Let's see. Meteorologists predicted that the temperature average for April would likely fall across large portions of India and Pakistan. Such severe heat waves aren't normally registered in the region until May and June. But scientists have long warned that because of climate change, they will become more common earlier and later in the coming decades. Oh, great. On Tuesday, the temperature hit 116 degrees Fahrenheit in the city of Dadu, Pakistan, tying a record for the warmest day in the northern hemisphere on that date. So, highest temperature, northern hemisphere tied for that date. Okay. Here's a temperature map right here. Looks pretty bad. You can see Pakistan is this like moon-looking country right here, and then this is India in the middle. So yeah, there's a lot of red, a lot of dark red. The formation of a heat dome over India, Nepal, and the Himalayas also has potentially worrisome long-term consequences, according to climate researchers. The consensus among scientists is that climate change has sped up the melting of glacier ice in the Himalayas. That's significant because after Antarctica and the Arctic, the region holds the third largest amount of glacial ice. Its loss would dramatically impact the supply of water to people in the region. And this is a highly populated area, right? India by itself has over 1 billion people. Okay, and I don't know how many are up here, up against the Himalayas and in Nepal. Nepal is like right here. This is Nepal, but a lot. Okay, drought worsened by climate change and Russia's ongoing war in Ukraine have brought the Horn of Africa to the brink of famine. So, yeah, the Horn of Africa is suffering right now because of that war, and Well, yeah, it says here because of climate change and Russia's war with Ukraine. So many African nations import wheat from Ukraine, but the conflict has halted those shipments. That sucks. Okay. While the overall toll on the wheat harvest remains unclear, the next few days in India and Pakistan will provide a more immediate trial run for how human beings will cope with a hotter future. For now, schools have been closed in several cities in India, workers have been advised to avoid exposure to the sun, and the governments of both countries have warned of blackouts as the demand for electricity is expected to surge. Okay, so there you have it. Now, I just wanted to share a couple things. You know, they've been saying this in general conference, and they've been saying it for a while now. I haven't gone over this before, I don't believe. This is October 1975. It's called "To Make a People Prepared for the Lord" by Elder Delbert L. Stapley of the Council of the 12. And I just want to read what he said back in 1975. Toward the close of Christ's earthly ministry, his disciples, being concerned about his teachings of the end of the world, went to him privately, saying, "Tell us, when shall these things be? And what shall be the sign of thy coming and of the end of the world?" And Jesus answered and said unto them, "Take heed that no man deceive you." The Savior then explained to his disciples the signs and happenings which will occur prior to his second coming. These are recorded in the 24th chapter of Matthew and warrant careful study. You can also see Joseph Smith Matthew because it's basically like the Joseph Smith translation of that chapter. Jesus informed his disciples that iniquity shall abound, false Christs, that's plural, shall deceive many, false prophets, plural, shall arise, showing great signs and wonders to deceive the very elect, and great tribulations, that's also plural, shall prevail. There will be wars, rumors of wars, nations rising against nations, famines. We're talking about a famine right now. Pestilence, earthquakes, and the abomination of desolation as spoken of by Daniel the prophet, which is when Jerusalem is attacked and under siege and being destroyed. The scriptural prophecies of the events that are to precede Christ's second coming serve as a guide and a warning to all inhabitants of the earth. Shouldn't we listen to these warnings as we witness the signs being fulfilled? He's talking in 1975. As John the Baptist was sent prior to Christ's birth to prepare the way for his ministry, so did God send a prophet to usher in this last dispensation of his gospel in preparation for the second coming of our Savior. The prophet Joseph Smith testified to a doubting world that Jesus is the Christ, the very Son of God. The Lord, in a latter-day revelation, reaffirmed the tribulations, plural, tribulations, desolations, calamities, and destructive forces of the last days. He warned, quote, "In that day shall be heard of wars and rumors of wars, and the whole earth shall be in commotion, and the love of men shall wax cold, and iniquity shall abound. Men standing in that generation shall not pass until they see an overflowing scourge, for a desolating sickness shall cover the land." And I know there's some that do believe that's COVID. Some people don't. I tend to think that it could. I'm not going to say that for sure. Uh, the doubt comes in, was this a desolating sickness? But that kind of gets into controversy, and I don't want to get into that. But continuing on, "And there shall be earthquakes in diverse places and many desolations, yet men will harden their hearts against me, and they will take up the sword one against another, and they will kill one another. Now this is him talking. For many years there have been wars somewhere in the world." Okay, so after just reading that from D&C 45, this apostle in 1975 is saying, for many years there have been wars somewhere in the world, and the constant rumors of wars are of great concern to many nations today. Nations are rising against nations in 1975. There are unstable governments. Some have fallen. There is a continuing breakdown in the integrity, honesty, and righteousness of political, governmental, and business leaders. The world is ripening in iniquity. There are many who have no compunctions against deceiving and leading people into paths of darkness and sin. There are those who falsely claim to be the Christ or prophets, and by their cunning and deceit draw many followers. Famine and pestilence persist in 1975. Earthquakes are increasing in number and intensity in 1975. The same is true of other disasters of nature. And you and me, we're witness to the fact that since 1975, it's only gotten worse. It's only gotten worse. I do believe that we are in that time right now, as we're watching these articles come up. You know, record-breaking, talking about record-breaking instances in nature and other things too. I mean, today we're just talking about fires and then famine and heat and stuff like that, but we've been covering so much more on the channel. Just go back. I have playlists called Signs of the Times. I also have one called Signs of the Times in Nature, Signs of the Times in the Heavens. Do I have a... I can't remember because I created some new ones, but just go look at my playlist called Signs of the Times. It never ends. Okay, and then to finish this off, just really quick, we have a little bit more recently. I really wish that they had the April 2022 talks uploaded here, but they're still not on here on the Scripture Citation Index. But he says here, this is David A. Bednar, April 2015. In our daily lives, endless reports of criminal violence, famine, wars, corruption, that T word that I don't really want to say, declining values, disease, and the destructive forces of nature can engender fear and apprehension. Surely, he says, surely we live in 2015 in the season foretold by the Lord, quote, and in that day the whole earth shall be in commotion, and men's hearts shall fail them. And then he cites D&C section 45, verse 26. Let's go ahead and read it. It says, and in that day shall be heard of wars and rumors of wars, and the whole earth shall be in commotion, and men's hearts shall fail them, and they shall say that Christ delayeth his coming until the end of the earth. And there are people that do say that. So anyway, and then it goes on. So he's saying, hey, 2015, we are living in this time of verse 26. I would, guess that pretty much everything's been fulfilled, except for maybe a few key things. I think things that can happen a lot quicker and in a much different way than we conceive of. We'll just have to see how things actually happen. But I'm just saying that it's kind of, it's alarming how much we do see right now, and how crazy things can get. Again, do we need to fear? No. Do what you know you need to do. President Nelson told us 5 things to do in this last conference to have spiritual momentum. Do those 5 things. Just listen to what they're saying. They're preparing us to be safe and to move forward confidently into the second coming, because it is going to be a great day for us that are trying to keep our covenants and do what the Lord expects of us. Okay, that's going to be it for this one. So if you haven't already, please make sure to subscribe, like this video if you liked it. Make sure to leave your thoughts and opinions down in the comments below. Also make sure to share this, and I'll talk to you guys later.